Sir? Sir, you are in mute.
Oh, sorry. Oh, can you able to hear me now? So now, sorry, can you able to hear me? So now if you notice it here, yeah, pollination means in the sense of what? The transfer of pollen grains from the anther of a stamen to the stigma of a carpel. That is what we used to call as pollination. So basically the formation of seeds in all the flowering plants will take place in two stages. One is pollination and the second one is called as what, guys? Fertilization. Yes or no? So now if you see pollination here, again these pollination. So what is the simple definition of pollination? Transfer of pollen grains to the where? To the stigma, means in the sense of where the female gamete is present. That is what ovule we can say. So that is only we used to call it as pollination. So if it takes place pollination, we can say when pollen grains are carried from the anther to the stigma, then that is what we used to call it as pollination. So now, as we know, yesterday we have seen these pollination is two types. What is that? Anybody? So one is called as
Self-pollination, cross-pollination.
another one is, remember, cross pollination. So once again I'm saying you a simple definition. A self pollination means, remember, either the pollination will like a transforming of male gametes into that is what we can say pollen grains to the anther in a same flower. For example, if we take this is what the plant, it is having a single flower. So in the same flower, if the pollen grains are transferred from anther to the stigma, then it is called as self-pollination. Or else, if the same plant is having another kind of flower, then if the pollen grains are carried out from this flower to this anther, then that is also called as self-pollination. Means in the same tree it will take place, or same flower it will take place. Same tree in the sense of the flowers of a same tree, the pollination will take place. That is what we used to call as self-pollination. So now if it comes to the cross-pollination, what will happen, guys? Cross-pollination means one plant it is having a flowers and another plant is also having flowers. So now from this plant to this plant, if the pollen grains are carried out for the fertilization, means from the pollen grains of this stamen to this stigma of this flower in the new plant, this is what we used to call as, what we used to call, guys? That is only we used to call as cross pollination. Understand? So that is what we have been studied in the last class also. So when the pollen grains are from the anther to the flower of flower are transferred to the stigma of the same flower, both are taking place in the same flower, then that is what we used to call as, or else we can say another flower of the same plant. That is also very important. Then it is called as self-pollination. Understand, Arvind? What I'm saying? So,
yes, sir.
Pollination means two things will happen, either in a single flower, or we can say what it is, flowers of a same plant, different flowers of what? Flowers of same plant. What we used to call as self-pollination. If it comes to the cross-pollination, what will come? What will happen? Flowers of different plants. Is it yes or no? Flowers of different plants, the pollen grains are transferred to the carpel. Then this is what? The stigma of a carpel. Then that is what we used to call as cross-pollination. And yesterday I have shown you also. Have you noticed it? Please respond.
Yes, sir.
If you'll see here, basically if you'll see these cross-pollination, if you'll see, you can take the self-pollination, it will take place basically in the same plant. So it is not needed any kind of external support. But if you take to the cross-pollination, then you can see who will help in the cross-pollination. A certain kind of things like if we'll take, for example, the insects helps in the cross pollination. For example, if we'll take bees, majorly you can see. So basically the cross pollination has been done by, means the pollen grains are carried by most of the insects, even birds also we can see. So now how it will take place, let us see. So now as we know, so many flowering plants is the sources of nectar, correct or not? So when the insect will sit on the flower of a plant for sucking nectar, for what purpose guys? For sucking nectar, then what will happen? Then what will happen? The pollen grains from the anther of this flower will stick to its body. That is what it is. So even it is, even that insects also don't know when they will keep on sucking the nectar. That is, we can say, 1 minute. You can check it in this picture. So you might be notice it when the honeybees or any kind of insects will sit on these flowers, then what will happen? Then automatically the pollen grains which are present in the, where is the pollen grains are present guys? What is that part called as? What is that part called as? Anther. Very good. So now can you able to see my screen? Please respond. So now here, if you'll see here in this picture, what is happening? So honeybee is sitting in a certain kind of flower. Have you noticed it? So now here what will happen? When it is, usually it is going for what? For sucking the nectar. So now, once it has been sucked the nectar, so during that time only, the pollen grains which are present in this anther will stick to the legs and the body of the honeybee. Have you seen in this picture? Please respond. So now, when it will start moving towards another flower for sucking of nectar, then you can see these pollen grains, see the same honeybee is laid here for sucking the nectar. So after this, it will move towards to here. So during this time, what is happening? These pollen grains will fall into the, where do they will fall? Can you say? So it will, when it will sit here, another flower, and what is happening guys? Another similar plant, then these pollen grains sticking to the body, they are transferred to where guys? They are transferred to the stigma of the second flower. Yes or no guys? They will transfer to the stigma of the second flower. So as we know, now pollen grains are reached from anther to the stigma. So that what will happen? So the pollination is over. So what pollination is called as? What
Cross pollination.
Cross pollination. So now once the flowers, these pollen grains will reaches to the stigma, means the first part of female fertilization, like a female sex organ in flowers, that is what we can say. Then what is happening guys? So these stigma of a flowers is another plant, they will cause pollination. So like this, or else the blowing wind also carries the pollen grains. For example, if honeybees are not there, so let me take this this picture. So now here you can see, if suppose honeybees is not there, but pollen grains are present, you might be noticing some plants, for example, like maize and all, maize and another one, millets and all, you might be see, if you touch the flowers, you used to get some kind of a powder kind of substance. Have you seen guys? Please respond. Have you touched it anytime? Millet flowers and all, different kind of millets and all. If you touch it, some kind of a flower, some kind of a powder like substance ways to get it. For example, I will show you. Wait. You next time you people will go to any agriculture land, you people can say. So millet flowers we can say. Yeah. Have you seen this one? On the surface, have you noticed it? Something is like a hair-like substance. Have you seen? Please respond. Hair-like substance. Yes. So like this is what we used to say. So usually where some kind of a yellow color powder, or else you can see here, this is what it is not grown. Understand? A not grown millet it is. So this is what we can say. So here they are having a hair-like structure. So these flowers, what they will do means automatically they will shedding their this kind of, they're shedding it dust of their pollens into the air. So when the air blows, then these pollen grains will carry towards the female female flower, in the sense of that is what anther it will carry. So anther in the sense of what it is, guys. From the anther to it will carry to the stigma. So stigma, there it will fall down and the fertilization will start. This is what we used to call as cross pollination. So this cross pollination has been done either by insects like honeybees or else some birds which will suck the nectar from the flowers. So when they will sit on this flower for sucking the nectar, so these pollen grains will stick to their legs and their body, and the same bird or same insects, they will sit on the similar kind of flower, understand, of different plant. Then these pollen grains will stick to the stigma of the flower. So that is what we used to call as, what we used to call, it is only called as cross pollination. Yes or no? So now these cross pollination, either it will be done by insects or also it will be done by what, guys? It will be done by air also. So when the air will blows, blowing wind also carries these pollen grains from one flower to another flower. And also remember, if you take here, sometimes, usually this pollination also will take place by some flowers. It is through the water. That pollination is called as water pollination. What we used to call it, guys? Please respond. Water pollination. If it is done by air pollination, we used to call it as. So same way, remember, this all under cross pollination only. And sometimes you may see farmers, when they are working in the field, agriculture field, have you noticed it? Without knowing ours, we people, something like which is the substance present in the flowers, it might be stick to us and it will be carried to the another plant, because the farmers basically used to touch every plant, correct, when they are working in the agriculture land. So that hand pollination also will take place. So it will be sometimes the pollen grains will transfer by hand. That is what we used to call as hand pollination. So this is what we can say types of pollination, which will come under self-pollination. And the second one is called as what? This all the things are called as cross pollination. Do you understand, everybody? Please respond. This is what we used to call as cross pollination. So a simple definition of self pollination. What do you mean by self pollination? Either it will be takes place transfer of pollen grains in single flower or different flowers of a same plant. We used to call it as self pollination. If it will takes place of flowers of a different plants, then it is called as cross pollination. Is it okay, guys? Are you clear? This is what we used to call it as pollination. So now what is the second step in formation of seeds? If you want to get the seeds, then 2 steps will be there. So what is the second step, guys? Are you clear, everybody? Pollination, how many of you understood? Are you clear everything? Any doubt in pollination, Kavya, Bhumiga? Now, if you'll understand the pollination, then the second step in this formation of seeds, that is what we used to call as, what is that called as, guys?
Fertilization.
Understand?
Fertilization.
So please all of you keep reading fertilization, and this diagrams also very important. So sometimes they will ask you fertilization diagrams also. So we have to understand. So now, as we know, pollen grains is transferred from anther to the stigma. So what is stigma? It is the upper part of the female reproductive system. Is it yes or no? Please respond. So it is having 3 parts. What is the 3 parts? Can anybody say? What is the 3 parts? Stigma,
Tail, ovary.
Yeah. Stigma is the first part, which is the sticky-like substance, which will attract the pollen grains. What is the second part? And the pipe-like structure, which we used to call it as what? A style. And down we are having cell-like structure, that is fully we used to call it as what we used to call? We used to
Ovary.
Call ovary. Or else we can say ovule. So now, inside this ovary only, we are having what? We are having a egg, or we can say ova. Ova or egg is present inside. So now the pollen grains which fall on this stigma, it should be carried towards to the egg and the fertilization should take place. That is what we need to study now. So now let us see how this fertilization process will take place. And after fertilization, ultimately what it will form, guys? What is the first stage? They will combine the nucleus and they will form female gametes. and male gametes, they will combine, and this fertilized egg only we used to call as what?
Zygote.
Zygote. What will happen in fertilization? So let us see how this fertilization process will take place and what is the steps involving. So now pollen grains is, what is the pollen grains is called as, guys? Pollen grains are called as what? Male gametes or female gametes? Female or male? They are called as male gametes. So now male gametes is reached to the female gamete from where to where? From anther to the stigma.
To stigma of the carpel.
So now, yes, stigma of a carpel. So now if you see, carefully observe, this is what the things which will clearly explain the fertilization process. So if you notice it here, so this is what we can say pollen grains of anther. So now they came and they fall on the surface of the stigma. So stigma is the sticky surface. It will make to stick the pollen grains. So now these pollen grains, as we know, they are having what? These pollen grains will produce what it is. Here you can see a circle-like substance. That is only what we used to call, guys, male gametes. That is what it is. So once these male gametes, pollen grains will produce male gametes. Is it yes or no, guys? Please respond. So these pollen grains will produce male gametes. So these male gametes will start moving from the stigma towards to the downwards. That is what we can say. The tube is called as, what is the tube is called as, guys? The tube is only we used to called as style. The tube is only we can say. You can see this tube is called as pollen tube. So now here this one is called as where this male gametes will move down. That is what we used to call as style. Is it yes or no? Yes, please respond. So now the pollen grains, the male gametes will start moving towards to the down where the egg is present. So once you can see here, this part we used to call as ovule. The total part we used to call as ovule. And this full down circle-like part, this is called as, what is this name called as, guys? Ovary, we can see. Understand? So now here you can see a middle, a red color thing we are observing. This is what we can say nucleus of female gamete, and this egg shape we are observing. This is what we used to call as, what we used to call female gamete, or we can say egg, or we can say ova. Understand? So now once these pollen grains will start falling onto the stigma, then these male gametes, they will start moving towards to the egg with the help of pollen tubes. Understand? So now these pollen tube, slowly it will start growing towards to the where? Towards the egg. Here you can see. Have you seen the open, something it is open like structure? Please respond here. Have you seen the open like structure? This is what the place where the egg, the male gametes can enter into the female egg. So these pollen tube will start continuously growing, and the male gametes will start reaching, and here they will entering into the egg. So once it will reaches to the egg, so they will break the cell of the egg, and here the male gamete will reaches to the nucleus of the female gamete. So what is happening, guys? So the male pollen grains, the male gametes of pollen combine with the nucleus of female gamete. Then what is happening? They will inside the ovule, and they will form both will combine together. That is what we used to call as, what we used to call, guys? Fertilized egg. Understand? So that fertilized egg only ultimately we used to call as what? Zygote, we can say. So this is how the fertilization process will take place. So once again I will say, observe very carefully. Once these pollen grains, usually it is very micro, it is very small it is, but here I am showing, it is that showing you very big to better understand. So once the pollen grains will fall on the stigma, what is happening, guys? So fertilization occurs when the male gametes present in the pollen grains, they will join with the female gametes present in the ovule where the egg is present. So these pollen grains fall from the stigma of a carpel, and they will start burst out. You might be see here. So burst out, and these male gametes, they will start moving towards to the ovule with the help of pollen tube. So now these pollen tube will carry this male gametes. Finally, it will reach the male gametes to nucleus of the egg, so that they will both, the male gametes will combine with the nucleus of a female egg. That is what we can say, female gamete egg present in the ovule, and this both will fertilize each other. So that fertilized egg only we used to call it as zygote. So this is what we can say how the fertilization will takes place. So simply we can say, what do you mean by fertilization, guys? Anybody can say the definition of fertilization? What is fertilization? When male gametes, what will happen? Male gametes will reaches to what? Male gametes present in pollen grains joins with what? Or fuse with the female gamete with the egg or female gamete present in the ovule. Present in ovule. That is what we used to call as fertilization. Do you understand, everybody? So now fertilization. So this upper part of this female reproductive system is called as stigma. Middle, the pipe-like structure, tube-like structure is called as style, and the base, like spherical-like structure, this is what we used to call as ovary, we can say. So inside ovary, we are able to see this shape. This is what we can say ovule. So inside the ovule, a egg is present. That is what we can say female gamete. So finally, male gametes will reach us to the female gamete, and they will fuse each other. They will combine each other, and they will produce the zygote. So now these zygote on due time, they will be modified into what, guys? This zygote will be modified into what? They will be modified into seeds. That is what we can say the new offsprings of the plants. Is it yes or no? So these seeds will be present inside the, means this female after fertilization, slowly this flower will turns into a fruit. So inside this fruit only we used to see the seeds are appears. So usually, sir, why sir this year the fruits are forming, or even seeds also? Seeds also, the germination part is very, very small, but why they need the external body part and all? So let us discuss. That is what now formation of fruits and as well as seeds. Shall we start, guys? Please respond. Yes. So now this is what we used to call as fertilization. So everybody please take a screenshot, and you have to draw this one and neatly how to understand it. Have you understand, Krutika, Nitish, Dilipan? This is what we used to say fertilization reaction. So now let us next concept, let us go back. So that is what the concept we used to call as. So what is that after fertilization? What is our next step, Nitish? What is our next step? Formation of fruits and formation of seeds. So this is what we used to see. So now formation of fruits and seeds, if you'll notice it. So basically you can see most of the vegetables and even fruits also you can see are in some kind of a, like for example, if we'll take corn, Bengal grams, next wheat seeds, rice seeds, next bean and the pea pods and all. So some are fruits, some are vegetables, and some are like a direct seeds. So everything common thing. What is the new offsprings of a plant? What is the ultimate source of new offsprings of a plant? Can anybody say? What is the ultimate thing of new offsprings of a plant? Seeds only. Yes or no, guys? So now, for example, if you take cut apple. Have you seen cut apple where the seeds are present? Where the seeds are present, you might be see here. So this is what we can see. So middle, we are able to see the seeds. This is what we can say a new offsprings of this apple plant. Is it yes or no, guys? Please respond. So I can say here, you might be see, this is what we can say apple fruit. Apple fruit. So now if we'll take here, if we'll cut inside, here we used to having a seeds. This is what we used to say. What is this? Seeds which are present inside the apple. So now what is happening here? The fertilized egg, usually once the zygote will form, that is what we can say fertilized egg. So now these zygote divides several times and it will form embryo. So after zygote, what is the next stage, guys? It will form what? Nobody will answer. It will form embryo, and this embryo also will take place inside the ovule only. Do you understand it? So now the ovule develops a tough coat around it, and it is gradually converted into a seed. That is what you have to remember. So now here, once the zygote will converting into embryo, where it will take place? Inside the ovule only. So now these ovule will start converting into a coating around the seeds. Understand? So that is what slowly that it will develop into a very strong coating around it, around the embryo, and that is only slowly we can say that is what we used to call as seeds. Understand? So what do you mean by seeds, guys? Can anybody say simple definition? They are the what actually, Arvind? What actually they are, Tarani? They are the what? They are the offsprings. Yes or no? So they are the offsprings. Offsprings means in the sense of what? The seeds means they are containing baby plant. This is what the meaning of this. Is it yes or no? So they contain baby plants. That is what we used to say seeds. Okay, guys. So this is what you have to remember. So all the eggs in the ovule present in the ovary of the flower get fertilized by the male gametes, and they will then what will happen? They will grow into seeds. That is what you can see. The ovary of flower develop and will slowly becomes into a fruit with the seeds inside it. This is what will happen in the case of flowers and even vegetables also. And you can see, and other parts of the flowers. So then when fertilization will take place, what happened to the other parts like sepals, petals, stamen, and stigma and style? What will happen, guys? What will happen once the fertilization will take place? What will happen? Slowly they will dry and they will fall off from the flower. Is it yes or no? Have you noticed it? Once the fruit will form, you might be see. I will show you. For example, pumpkin. Have you seen the pumpkin plant? Have you seen pumpkin? Wait, I will show you. Formation of pumpkin. Pumpkin, you can see how once the fruit will form. Have you seen? In this case, the pumpkin is started growing. Have you seen the slowly the flower is becoming dry? See, please respond.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
sir.
Certain days, once the pumpkin will grown well, then what is happening? The flower will dry. Understand? And it will fall down. That is what it will happen. So now you can observe very carefully. Every flower, every fruit, the same thing will happen. Once the fruit will start growing, once the fruit will start developing, then slowly these remaining parts of the plant, the flower, like petals, sepals, stamen, everything they will be fall down. So that is what it will happen. Here in this picture you can see. So slowly the fruit is started developing. Then you can see this flower, all the things will slowly will dry and they will be separating out from the flower. This is what it will happen during during any kind of fertilization. So finally somebody is left behind it inside the flower. Who is that? Only the ovary will left behind. Understand? Because ovary only the fertilization will take place. Yes or no, guys? Please respond. So it will take the flower. So remaining all the things will be, they will dry and they will fall down. So only the ovary will be left behind because the seeds will form inside it only. And ovary will be converting into a tough coat around this embryo. That is what we used to call as seeds. So here if you notice it, where we are having understanding, suppose we don't have a fruit, some places you can see, and it will be modified into, you can see the ovary of the flower containing seeds. You can see the fruit protects the seeds. That is the importance. So apple is not coming because of, you can see even pumpkin also. So the pumpkin, why it is producing this big structure? Why can't it give directly seeds? Because what is the use of this? You can see here. What is the use of this outer flesh-like substance? What is the use of this, guys? It will protect the seeds. You understand? That is the importance of developing a fruit or vegetable, whatever it is. Everything. It cannot protect them directly. That is why it will produce the fruit. If you take apple, then you can notice it. So what is happening here? This outer surface, what we people are consuming, everything is only for what purpose, guys? It is not to eat by humans or somebody. It is only for what?
Protecting the seeds.
Protecting the seeds. That is the that is the most important of what it is. If you take this one, so everything, this outer shells, whatever you are noticing, this all the things only because of protecting seeds. That is what you have to remember. So now, sir, if like suppose if you take pea pods directly the seeds will be there. Yes or no, guys? Yes, please respond. Then, sir, who will protect them? So, have you seen the outer layer? Outer layer will be coming like something like that is what we used to call as protecting layer, like fruits, how it is. So, this outer layer, the peel, we can say this peel is only protecting the seeds. Understand? So now the seeds also. Have you seen? You might be see. This outer greenish color layer we people can remove. That is what the cell. Is it yes or no, guys? Like some kind of protective guard it will be for the seed. Yes or no? Please respond. Yes? Suppose if you take groundnuts also, brown color layer will be there. Is it yes or no? Before making the some chutney or something, we will remove that shell. Is it yes or no? Please respond. Yes? So that shell is only called as embryo. Understand? So this ovule, actually inside this is called as a seed, original seed. The ovule which is present inside this female reproductive system, it will form the protective layer. So here what you are observing, the greenish color on the seed, the greenish color one, what you are noticing, everything is the ovule only. So the ovule only will modify slowly into a tough coat around it. That is what we used to call as seeds. So now, if the seeds are forming directly, they will be protected by this kind of peel in some kind of plants. You can see most of the plants, like you can take, for example, popcorn. If you take maize or corn, so corn will be protected by what, guys? You might be see. So corn is protected by a green color substance around it. Have you seen it? Yes or no? Seeds are not present directly. Now, if you take wheat also, are you getting directly wheat seeds or else inside it is protected? Have you seen here? It is being protected with some kind of outer casing. Is it yes or no? Please respond. That is what. So once you will remove this outer casing, then only we is to get inside the seeds. So like this, everything, if you see all the seeds, even beans, if you'll see corn, Bengal gram, everything if you'll notice it. For example, if you'll see Bengal gram, so they are present inside the cell. So then only we'll remove that shell and we used to get this. You might be not seeing. This is what the Bengal gram. Even my father also used to cultivate